moms and dads. So if you're listening to this as a parent or you're about to become one, and you sometimes figure out things as you go, we all do it. You are not alone. But parenting doesn't come with a manual. We all know that. And it doesn't tell us how we meant to feel or how we manage our own thoughts or how we show up emotionally for our children. So today's conversation is a gentle one. It's about mindset, language, and small shifts that can make parenting feel a little lighter and a lot more intentional. My guest today is Lauren Lachman, a mindset developer and the author of a brand new book, Make Your Brain Pop. Now, Lauren works with parents and children around growth mindset thinking, helping families understand how the brain works and how your thinking or our thinking and language shape behavior and resilience. Her book, Make Your Brain Pop, is launching or has just launched this month, February 2026, and has been selected for the exclusive books recommended reading list. So make sure you get a copy too. Thank you so much for joining us, Lauren. It's such a pleasure having you here. I'd love to start with this first question, right? What was the moment or the experience that made you feel that this book needed to be written?
So first of all, thank you so much for having me here today. It's an interesting question. I think that this journey has been in the making. It's been a process, a lot of self-reflection. But one thing that really stood out for me, Projeni, is that when I was pregnant, I learned that our babies can actually hear our voice in the womb. And that for me was really interesting. I think it starts from about 18 weeks. And by the third trimester, they are actively listening and remembering what you are saying. And that is what brought me to ask myself, well, what am I saying? What language am I using? What does the tone of my voice sound like? And that is really what made me question my narrative, my self-narrative, and also the narrative that I was saying out aloud. And they say that babies can also hear you. I mean, they hear your voice actually travels inside your body and they're hearing it very differently. But that was the point that really stuck out for me. And that was the point that made me realize that I need to be conscious.
Yes.
This is the point that I became aware of my thinking.
Yes.
And it kind of moved me from a place of being unconscious to a place of being conscious.
Now, that is amazing. And I'm not sure how many mums and dads actually know that, understand that your baby can actually hear you and might not be able to understand the language. But I suppose what you're saying with that is, right, it's the tone, it's the emotion that goes with that. It's the feeling. It's that all reverberates within the body.
Absolutely.
Right?
Absolutely.
And I suppose when you use a negative tone or a positive tone, you feel it in your body. It affects you. So can you imagine that impact on the baby? I've never thought about it like that. Wow.
Absolutely.
Well, so you've spoken about how your journey began, right? Really began for you during pregnancy. Now take us back to that time where what were you noticing and what felt missing in how parents are prepared for this particularly, right?
So I'm actually a very last minute person. Call me lastminute.com.
Oh, most of us.
I didn't prepare for anything until probably about 2 weeks before the baby arrived, when my super organized cousin, she started getting very stressed out for me. She said to me, Lauren, I'm sending you lists of what you need and I'm going to take you shopping and we are going to buy all the essentials because you need to be prepared. And bless her, she did. She took me shopping. We walked up and down the aisles and we filled a trolley with everything, all the essentials, all the baby equipment. And the list was really just endless. I mean, I spent, the morning ticking everything off the list and came home with even more. And so I think for me, we really do prepare ourselves for all the externalities. I know that I even prepared a playlist, a carefully curated playlist for the labor. We prepare our bodies. We take prenatal vitamins. We do yoga. We prepare our bodies. We prepare our nursery. We make sure that the colors of the nursery everything is just perfect and everything works. And we spend so much time preparing and thinking about these externalities.
Yes.
But we don't really think about our internal world. We don't think about our beliefs, our thoughts, and our mindset. And that's another point where it really struck me. Why don't we have a manual? Why aren't we given a guide to learn how to parent?
That is so true. You're so right. I mean, if I think about it in our journey, not just with my two babies, but and all the pregnant mums that I've met through Mama Magic over the past 20 years, it's all about that external preparation, exactly what you're saying. It's about getting the cot and getting the nursery ready and getting the nappy bag and your hospital bag, right? It's all of those things that you can think of. Preparing for the actual birth and what you need in the room. And we've gone through so many experts talking to us about that. But we haven't talked about what's going on inside, that emotion, and where's your mindset at, right? So I think it is so right. We completely forget about it because we're so sidetracked by the material things. So what fears or internal pressure is coming up, you think, for pregnant mums at this time?
I think it's the fear of the unknown, really. I think we don't know what to expect. And that can feel really, really scary. We're about to bring this little human being into the world, and we don't know what our labor is going to be like. We don't know how our baby is going to be. We don't know if we're going to be okay. And we have all these worries and all this anxiety. And it really is that fear. What is our life going to be after this baby comes into the world?
So when did you realize that mindset mattered just as much as the physical preparation?
So this wasn't one distinct time. This was really about a journey. It was asking myself the question about what type of parent I wanted to be.
Yeah.
What do I want my children to be like?
Yeah, that is so true. It is so interesting. But I think for a lot of parents, like you're saying, you're so busy preparing for baby. And probably for most of us, it's only when baby comes and that finally we settled in and we have a little bit of time to think, do you actually realize how many thoughts are flying through your mind and how many fears and all those things you look forward to, right? I mean, just think about it. Like when you have a baby, it's just about... Moms go through so much emotionally, but we never realize that. But I hope this book is going to take them on that journey to understand how important that mindset is, right? So let's go through the preggy brain, right? And that psychological safety we talk about. So one of the concepts you explain so clearly is psychological safety, right? Why does mindset matter so much during pregnancy?
So pregnancy isn't just a physical journey. It's a psychological and emotional journey too.
Right.
And the psychological safety is a key piece of this.
Right.
When a pregnant mom feels psychologically safe, her anxiety and her fear levels drop. And that is really what we want to achieve. We don't want to feel that we're in a state of fear.
Yes, it's that fight or flight mode, right?
Absolutely.
That's true. So what actually happens in the brain when we're anxious or overwhelmed?
So I read an interesting book called The Whole Brain Child by Dan Siegel, and he actually uses a hand-brain model. And it's really interesting because when you think of the brain And I'll just show you, for example, when you hold up your hand
Right.
and you look at the brain as your hand and you say to yourself, wow, so these 4 fingers at the top,
Right.
these represent our prefrontal cortex.
Okay.
And our prefrontal cortex sits right behind our forehead.
Okay.
And that is really where we can access a higher level of thinking. That is where our executive functioning is happening. That is where we make decisions, where we can plan, where we make choices, where we problem solve. And what happens is inside this little thumb of ours is our amygdala. And our amygdala is really our threat response. And our brains were designed to keep us safe. Our brains really were designed to keep us alive. So what happens is when we feel threatened, we go into this fight, flight, or freeze response. And what happens is our brain goes offline. Our 4 fingers flip up, and he calls this flipping the lid. And what happens is when we have flipped our lid, we can't access that higher level of thinking. We can't access our prefrontal cortex. And that is the moment when you can't reason with someone. We need to bring that prefrontal cortex back down so that we can be online again.
So Lauren, tell me, how does stress affect learning and connection?
So when we are stressed, our brains put up a barrier, and we don't learn and we don't connect when we have this barrier. So we really do have to try and access that sense of calm.
Yeah,
And
that's
bring
so
down
interesting.
our prefrontal cortex, as I mentioned.
Earlier, yes, that is so interesting because so many of us, we're constantly in a state of stress. Even as children grow, if you think about it, like and I know we'll cover this later, but we constantly stress, and whether it's about little things or big things, and you don't realize that it's actually stopping you from being able to do what you have to do next.
Absolutely.
Because of the barrier, like you're saying, right? But I mean, understandably, for mums that are pregnant, is it actually realistic for them to be calm throughout that pregnancy or have that kind of mindset?
So anxiety during pregnancy is incredibly normal.
Right.
We all feel anxious, and our hormones and the unknowns, and we're not failing.
Yeah.
We're just feeling. And I think
love that.
it's so important to understand that and to feel our emotions and to not push them away and to not push them aside, not to try and fix it. I think we need to have a relationship with our emotions. I think that is what it's about.
That is beautiful. We are not failing, we are feeling.
And I think another point is that we should ask ourselves, how do we want to show up for ourselves and our baby? Being pregnant is hard. It's hard for everyone. And it's objectively hard. And we really need to just ask ourselves a question. If we show up, how do we want to show up? Maybe it's just getting out of bed and just doing the simple things. It's not getting out there and feeling that you have to conquer the world, but it's really just in the small things.
That is so true. That is so true. I am so glad you said that because sometimes there's such unrealistic expectations as well about what this perfect pregnancy looks like and how I should be and how I should pitch up. But everybody has their own journey, right? So let's go into the details of this POP mindset, right? That is where your passion lies. That's what the book is all about. Now, you've developed this POP mindset framework. So can you explain to us what POP stands for and like how a pregnant mom could possibly start applying this in her everyday life just to help her get through this journey?
Yes, so POP stands for power, optimism, and perseverance. And POP is really, I call it, the 3 pillars of human potential.
Right.
POP is very interconnected. They kind of all work together. And POP starts with power. What is power? Power is about recognizing. I think before the recognizing, it's actually about being aware. Everything is about being aware.
Right.
And once we become aware, we recognize that we have the power to choose, the power to recognize, the power to believe in ourselves and our ability. And this power piece is really important because we have that capability. We have that strength. It's that inner power. It sits within us. And it's just about learning to access it and to bring it out into this world. And we are able to influence our outcomes. You know, we matter. Our ideas matter. And this is really, really powerful when we understand that our beliefs are all formed by what we tell ourselves. This is really an important piece because we often tell ourselves stories that are limiting.
Yep.
And this is about taking those stories and turning them into stories that are empowering.
Power. And that is lovely. That's the first P of pop. And that is so important because we don't realize, you're right, how powerful our thoughts are and how they can influence our actions and our mindset and just our sense of being. I love that. So power, and then we move to optimism.
Optimism is, it's not about a toxic positivity. Optimism is really about a learned optimism.
Okay.
Optimism is the lens at which we look at the world. And what is that lens that we are choosing? I think it's so important that we take our challenges and we turn those obstacles into opportunities. And that is really the optimistic piece. It's also very, very powerful. And I think for pregnant moms, what I could suggest is writing down 3 things that you're grateful for. Because gratitude rewires your brain for possibility.
Yeah.
And it's so important when we look at gratitude and we wake up and we think to ourselves, wow, you know, we can actually move our body. It gives us so much to focus on, and we start scanning for the good. And that's really what we're trying to do. We're trying to scan for the good and filter out the bad.
Absolutely. And sometimes I think I love that idea of writing those 3 things down and writing it down every day, possibly, because they're different things. There's so many things, and it's not just the big stuff. It's the little stuff. It's the pillow that you put your head on, right?
Absolutely.
It's the roof over your head. It's all those things that might seem just there in the background, but it's there to support you.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So then we go to the third one, which is another P.
Yes. So the last one is perseverance. And that is what I call the grit to keep growing.
Okay.
This is really all about effort, the effort that we put into something. And that is really what determines our outcome, is that effort. And I talk about the struggle.
Yeah.
When I say struggle, I don't see it as the suffering that we need to go through and the struggle, but it's more of a productive struggle.
Right.
How do we actually struggle productively so that we can achieve our outcomes and our goals? And this is really where the perseverance piece is really critical.
Yeah. So it's about trying, right?
Absolutely.
That's what you're saying. It's about trying.
And it's about doing hard things.
Doing hard things and taking steps towards what you want.
Absolutely.
Right? So it's not giving up. It's not about giving up. It's about trying. Because there's so many things about trying and failing, but, stepping stones to the success of what you want to achieve, whether you want baby to sleep through the night or whether you want to get up with more energy tomorrow. There's things that you need to do to ensure you get there. And you've got to persevere over and over again.
Absolutely. And Projeni, just to add to that, I think it's so important that we celebrate the small wins, the micro wins along the way.
Yeah.
Because that is really what keeps us going. And we need to celebrate. There is so much to celebrate. And if we look at it that way and we celebrate the small wins, that also helps us reach our goal.
Absolutely. I love that. I think baby's first smile is definitely a small win.
Absolutely.
You were funny enough, Mum or Dad. Okay, so when a mum is feeling out of control, right? What do you think power looks like for her? How do you think we could position that for mum?
So I think the feeling of being out of control is a feeling of being in unfamiliar territory.
Of course.
I think it's that feeling of being uncertain.
Yeah.
And how do we deal with uncertainty? And we like to be in control. But I think it's at that point when we are living in the uncertain, in this discomfort, that is actually when we grow. In my book, I actually have an infographic about what we control, what we can control, and what we don't control, what we can't control. And for example, certain things that we can't control the weather. Yes. We can't control our past. We can't control the future. But we can control the present. We can control our thoughts. We can control our own mindset, our beliefs, our attitudes. We can't control what other people think or do, but we can control what we do. And that is what we need to focus on. We need to focus on what we can control.
I love that. Yes, taking control by focusing on what you control, what's within your realm, within your space. And not trying to achieve the impossible. And again, going back to what you said earlier, it's about the little things that we can control, right? It's about celebrating the little wins. And again, going back to the small stuff that we can take charge of and make changes with. So that is so important. So that is POP. Power, optimism, and perseverance. And I think it should be your daily mantra, right? Power, optimism, perseverance. Try and look at that and how you're seeing the world through those lenses, right? Thank you for introducing us to POP, Lauren. That is going to stay with me. And I think for everybody, whether you're pregnant or wherever you are in your parenting journey, it definitely helps you do a better job of your parenting. Let's look at if a pregnant mom listening now could take one small mindset step this week, right? What would you suggest that be, keeping that POP framework in mind?
We really need to practice narrating our perseverance out loud. Mm-hmm. When something is hard, physically, emotionally, and mentally, we have to say out loud what we're doing and that we're doing it anyway. So we can tell ourselves, this is hard, but I can do it anyway. Yeah. And I think that really is so powerful. And that is one practice that I keep on telling myself, this is hard. We can do it anyway. And I would definitely, that's something that I would start trying. Say it out loud.
Yep, say it out loud. It might be hard, but you can do it. I like that. Mums, let's take that. Let's try that. I think we can all try it. So, and because it's, again, going back to that simple language shift. I mean, you just gave us an example of that right now. It's hard, but I can still do it. I can do it anyway. I can figure it out. I can work it out. I can try. I can persevere, I suppose. That's what you're saying, right?
Absolutely.
And it goes back to that power of how I'm influencing the challenge, my perspective on the challenge. Like, am I just going to let it go because it's just impossible? And that's my brain telling me that, no, just walk away, give up. But you're saying you have the power to persevere. Right. And it's just the mindset. So it's the use of the language, like you're saying, right?
Absolutely. And I think it's also about holding two truths at the same time. Mm-hmm. I think it's about saying, this is hard.
Yeah.
And I can do hard things. We're holding two truths, and that's really, really important. It's painful, but I'm hopeful.
Yes. I like that. Really wonderful. Lauren, thank you so much for this conversation. I mean, your work is such a powerful reminder that mindset isn't about getting it right all the time. right? I mean, it's about awareness, it's about language, and giving ourselves and our children the tools to grow. And it all boils down to mindset. So a big congratulations to you on the launch of your book, Make Your Brain Pop. The book has launched. It's on shelf this month, February 2026, and it's available at Exclusive Books. So we're really excited for our moms and dads to get their hands on it.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
Oh, it's an absolute pleasure. And our moms and dads and our caregivers, thank you so much for spending time with us on Lights, Camera, Baby. I'm your host, Projeni Pather, and my hope is that today's conversation offered you the reassurance, the insight, or simply the comfort of knowing you're not navigating this journey alone, right? So if this episode resonated with you, I really encourage you to share it with another parent or your partner or caregiver who might find it really, really useful. And of course, we ask you to be sure to subscribe and come back for more conversations designed to support you through pregnancy and parenthood. That's Mama Magic for you, one thoughtful moment at a time.